UFC Rio, Oliveira taking on Mateusz Gamrot. I am doing a full breakdown and predictions. Not the best card, not the worst card, to be honest. If you're a hardcore and you keep track of all these fighters, it's not the worst thing in the world in terms of a fight night. We could do better. We can always do better. There's always room for improvement, you know? I'm going to be starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my prediction and breakdown for every single fight on the card. So, let's get it going. First up, Simon Oliveira versus Luan Lacerda. I'm taking Luan Lacerda in this one. Simon Oliveira he seems to me to get, at least as of recent, first of all, he hasn't won in the UFC. The last two losses, they're not to the worst fighters ever. Like, David Martinez is a decent prospect. Daniel Marcos was, I believe, undefeated going into that fight, if I remember correctly. But then Tony Gravely, or however you say it, like, that one's kind of bad. That one was his debut. To be fair, it was a long time ago, but seems very beatable to me, and especially in his last two fights, he's been TKO'd pretty badly. I just really don't like the fact that he's also very hittable. That seems to be a common trend nowadays with these guys from Brazil. They get beaten up on pretty fucking easily. And Luan Lacerda, I feel like, is more often than not the hammer rather than the nail in terms of his submission game, at least. I don't remember him getting any TKO finishes on the regional scene, like, at all. He's morely known for his submission game. He hasn't won in the UFC either. He's fought in decent competition. I remember he fought Damon Blackshear at one point, which isn't anything to slouch at, fighting him. But I do really like his grappling a lot, and I think he's going to be able to out-scramble Simon Oliveira a lot. I know I've seen a lot of people online saying he is going to get a submission, but I do think Simon Oliveira's jiu-jitsu game is good, and I do think that he can survive. But I think Luan Lacerda has a little bit more of a gas tank in terms of when they are grappling and they are scrambling, and this is a lighter weight class, they're going to be scrambling like crazy. I trust Luan Lacerda's grappling stamina a little bit more, and I think that's going to lead to him getting top position a little bit more than Simon Oliveira. So I'll take Luan Lacerda. I have him winning probably a 29-28 decision. After that, we have Julia Palostri versus Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Julia Palostri is going to win this one probably by late TKO is what I have. I have a round 3 TKO for Julia Palostri because Karolina Kowalkiewicz is, for one, old, and for two, the last recent memories that I have of her is her not knowing how to defend herself. She just seems to get beaten up on from start to finish. And actually, I'm going to take a look at her Tapology just to, I mean, Jesus Christ. Got the shit kicked out of her by Denise Gomes and then Yasmin Lucindo before that. She's gone on long losing streaks before this. I mean, she had a losing streak that lasted 3 years at one point. And the people that she's beaten aren't good at all. Her best win is Vanessa Demopoulos, who's terrible at fighting. So, I mean, in Julia Palostri, I'm pretty sure I know she lost her last fight, but she's a pretty good prospect. She has a good submission game. She seems like she actually knows how to throw a punch. Seems that nowadays, with these new women's prospects, none of them know how to throw a punch. And her most recent loss was to Lupi Godinez. So it's like, and Lupi Godinez is really, really good. I don't see a way that Karolina Kowalkiewicz wins this unless it's some split decision, as we see a lot in women's MMA. I trust Julia Palostri. I like the fact that she was really good on the regional scene, and then when she came to the UFC, she got a win and they gave her Lupi, and she battled it out over 3 rounds. So I like that a lot. I'm taking Julia Palostri to win this one by late TKO. After that, we have Lucas Rocha versus Stuart Nickel. I'm gonna take I'm gonna take Lucas Rocha. This is a tough one, but so both these guys lost their debuts in the UFC. Stuart Nickel fought the Mexican dude with the goatee, Jesus Aguilar. He fought him, who's a very powerful guy, especially at 125. You don't see a lot of KO power type of guys at 125, but Jesus Aguilar is kind of one of them. He got finished pretty bad by Jesus Aguilar, and then Lucas Rocha fought Clayton Carpenter, who is actually later up on this card, who I think is actually really, really good. He got choked out, I believe. He got finished. I know that. I don't remember what it was. I think it was a sub, if I'm remembering correctly. Oh, it's tough, man. Both these guys are kind of weirdly powerful in their own way, especially at flyweight. Again, you don't see that very often, but both these guys do have finishing potential, but I do think Lucas Rocha is a little bit more slick on the feet, finds outside foot position a little bit better, and when he does land those KO blows that you see at flyweight, he seems to land a little bit harder than I think than Stuart Nickel. But in the end, this is a really, really close fight, dude. This is a really, really close fight. What are the odds for this? You guys are looking at it. I'm not. If I had to guess, I would say it's even, right? Yeah, it's just about even. Yeah. Good Lord. I'll take Lucas Rocha by decision. I think it goes close. There's a chance that one of these guys does land clean in combination. They both throw in combination a lot. There's a chance that one of them lands clean and they get like a TKO finish, but I just don't think I can't bank on flyweights getting TKOs. I just can't do it. I'll take Lucas Rocha by decision, by close decision. After that, Arina Alexieva versus Beatriz Mesquita. Neither of these girls have very much experience at all. I believe Irina Alexieva, she's like 5-4 or 5-3. Actually, matter of fact, I'm gonna look at this. She's 5-3. And she's not beating anybody good in the UFC. She beat Stephanie Egger, and then she lost to Melissa Mullins and Claudia Segula. Yeah. And pretty bad. I think I took her to win in her last fight, and it didn't go well. Like, it wasn't even close. Like, a lot of times when women do women's MMA fights, they go to a decision, but it's close every time. It was like a pretty clear-cut decision. Like, she just looked like shit the whole time. And Beatriz Mesquita is undefeated, and her grappling resume speaks for itself. Her finishing potential, especially in women's MMA, is through the roof. She's KO'd people before. She's submitted tons of people. I see her winning this probably. What do I have? I have early submission, I think. I do. I have round 1 submission. I don't think that Irina Alexieva is very good, which is crazy to say because you look at her and you go, that's a man. We should probably take her, right? Fatality MMA? No. Actually, the one that looks like a man in this instance fucking blows. Well, not actually in either sense of the word blow, but you know what I mean. I hope. We're taking Beatriz Mesquita. She's probably going to get a sub at some point. After that, Vitor Petrino versus Thomas Peterson. I'm not going to go in long on this. I just looked at the odds for this, by the way. How the fuck is Vitor Petrino only like a -200 favorite? Are we being serious? He's -265. How the fuck is that possible? I saw this fight get booked and I go, dude, this guy's going to have a Teba Gautier numbers on his fucking name. Nope. How? How is this guy not -1500? Vitor Petrino is going to beat the fuck out of Thomas Peterson. It's going to last it's going to be in the first round. It's going to be inside of 3 minutes. He's quick on the feet. He has a submission game. As long as he is stupid, I'll say that. I should have led with that. Why are my hands? Oh, I was playing basketball. That's why my hands are dirty, I swear. But he is really fucking stupid. When he fought Anthony Smith and he just shoved his head in the fucking guillotine and then picked him up, dumped him. When that happens, for one, you either need to get to side control so there's no pressure and you can just slip your head out, or you need to address the problem and stop putting your head in the guillotine, fight the hands, something. He didn't do that. He just picked him up and then let Anthony Smith pull guard, let Anthony Smith rip a guillotine from guard and got choked out. He's really, really fucking dumb, but he's a freak of nature in terms of his athleticism and his size. So and historically, I don't have a very good relationship with the fat people up at heavyweight. So I literally can't take another fat guy at heavyweight to win a fight. It's literally against my whole brand. So I'll take Vitor Petrino by first round TKO or submission. Who cares? He's gonna finish him in the first round, and if he doesn't, PFL. After that, Rafael Filial versus Clayton Carpenter. I said earlier that Lucas Rocha and Stuart Nickel was a really close fight. This is closer in my eyes. I don't know who the fuck to take. Both of these guys I think are very underrated. When it comes to the more underrated guys at flyweight, oh my god, a lot of people have Clayton Carpenter winning this. I don't know who to take. Can I not take some? No, I can't do that. I have to take somebody. I'm going to take Clayton Carpenter for one reason, and literally one reason only. I don't have anything else for you. Rafael is a very, very aggressive guy in there, and he's very aggressive with his grappling. He's known for his grappling resume. He's also powerful, but again, it's flyweight. But his grappling is where he shines. And Clayton Carpenter in his last fight, if you remember, he fought Tagir Ulanbekov, who I think is probably one of the better offensive grapplers at flyweight. And he did well, and he borderline won. If you rewatch that fight, Clayton Carpenter had a lot of really, really, really good moments, especially in the grappling. He scrambles like a madman, and he doesn't really get tired. And when Rafael, his whole brand and his whole mantra is based upon the fact that he can submit you off of just being super, super aggressive with the grappling. I don't know if that's going to work because that's Tagir Ulanbekov's whole style, and Tagir, I think, is a better grappler than Rafael is. So if Clayton Carpenter can outlast that and borderline win against Tagir, the MMA math just points to Clayton Carpenter winning this. I just think that he's going to win, dude. Oh my God. But Rafael knocked out Ode Osborne. This is close. This is the closest fight on the card, I think. And I have no idea. But that was my reasoning. And I'm going to stick with my gut. I'll take Clayton Carpenter. I'll take him by close decision. After that, we have Ricardo Ramos versus Konoff Lee, another close fight. The matchmakers were kind of in their bag. I think this fight is closer than people think. I know that a lot of people have Ricardo Ramos winning this. He is the hometown guy. I mean, if you don't think that plays a part, you're retarded. Very clearly been it's always a big deal if you are the hometown guy. Ricardo Ramos, he's kind of hit or miss in the UFC. He has an 8-6 record in the UFC. And of his last 4 fights, he hasn't done too hot. He's lost to Charles Jourdain, Julian Erosa, Shep Mariscal, which Shep Mariscal is a monster. And if you're not getting finished by Shep Mariscal, I don't know how the fuck that happened. And then the Josh Kulabau win that he has in those last 4 fights, it was a split decision, and it was really close. Like, he probably shouldn't have got the win, to be honest. But Konoff Lee, I think Konoff Lee is very underrated. I know he's coming off back-to-back losses, but it's to Muhammad Naimov and Myron Santos. Am I crazy to take Konoff Lee? Dude, I'm going to take an underdog. I don't care. I'm taking an underdog. I'm taking Konoff Lee. I think Konoff Lee has shown more bright spots. I know he's going to have a size disadvantage, but he mixes in he's pretty much good at everything, and he's fought way better competition. And I think that Muhammad Naimov and Myron Santos, so going from those two down to Ricardo Ramos, I think it's a huge step down. So I'm taking an underdog, man. I'm taking an underdog. I think that the way that Konoff Lee does win this is probably by decision or late submission. Konoff Lee has a nasty submission game, and it's a close fight, man. I don't know. I'm taking Konoff Lee. My gut tells me that he can get this done, and I haven't been impressed with Ricardo Ramos, I don't think. So, yeah, I think his grappling is going to be the difference, especially late. Doesn't really get tired all that often either, so I think that he can outwork Ricardo Ramos and get to a late sub or a decision. After that, we have Mario Pinto versus Janata Diniz. Janata Diniz pisses me the fuck off, especially in his last fight. He fought Alvin Hines. He was supposed to knock him the fuck out. Alvin Hines is a man of the people, though, and he didn't get knocked out. And then before that, it was Marcin Tybura. Losing to Marcin Tybura in 2024, 2025. That does not look good to me. I think that's terrible. And Mario Pinto, I understand that against Austin Lane, he was losing, but then he flattened the guy out cold. And then before that, on the Contender Series, he's having a little bit of a war. Gets into kind of like this brawl on the Contender Series, but then he flattens the guy. Until that story changes of, he's kind of getting into a little bit of a war, or he's kind of getting, the other guy's kind of getting the better of him. But he flattened him. Until that story changes, I can't go against him. So I think that it's going to be kind of the same story, because I think Janata Diniz is decently technically sound, especially when it comes to heavyweights. I think that he is a little bit sharper. So is Austin Lane, to be fair. Austin Lane does have decent game plans going into his face. Not to say that he's good, because Austin Lane fucking blows. So does Janata Diniz. Janata Diniz, he is technically sound, but he is kind of a fat sack of shit. And I think Mario Pinto, being on the lighter side, but still having that kind of KO power that the big fat dudes have, I think if he does land one, Jonathan Deniz is going to get hurt and he's going to get put out. I'm taking Mario Pinto. I think he gets it done by round 2 or 3 TKO. Yeah, I just have to take the guy who's in who's in just better shape. That's just how I'm basing heavyweight fights off. That's how I'm basing my pick off of. Vicente Luque versus Joel Alvarez. People who know me know that I'm a very firm believer in what Joel Alvarez does and what he has in his game. Just the finishing potential is just so high. I mean, I think he's really, really good. And his only loss since 2019 was to Arman Tsarukyan. That was his only loss. And he's fighting guys like Mark Jacasey, Jakar Close, Elvis Brenner, and he's putting them the fuck away. On the feet, on the ground, doesn't matter. He's everywhere. We've seen it recently. Vicente Luque is very clearly past his prime, and when he does get into wars, he does fold. His chin's a little bit iffy now. He's shown that he can be submitted, especially, I called that Kevin Holland Darce choke, by the way, or Anaconda, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I called that. I said, Kevin Holland does have nasty front headlock positions, and there is a chance that he does rip a Darce. And I said vice versa too. I said Vicente has a nasty Darce too, and it could go the other way, but I called it. Sorry, getting off topic. When Vicente Luque is faced with those guys that go in there to get a finish, he kind of folds, especially later in his career now. You look at his last 3 losses, he's getting finished in all 3 of them. The last time he didn't get finished in a loss was almost 4 years ago now. And Joel Alvarez doesn't look to see the final bell. He's a lunatic. And he doesn't care where it happens. He doesn't care where it happens. He'll do it on the ground. He'll do it on the feet. He'll flying knee you. He'll take you down. He'll choke you out. He'll throw up a triangle. He'll get you with Darce, rear naked choke. It doesn't matter. I think that Joel Alvarez gets this done. I think he gets it done by where did I put this? I put second round TKO. I love watching Joel Alvarez fight. I was really sad that he couldn't fight against Benoit Saint-Denis, but happens, and he's going to get a finish here, I believe. So, moving on from that. Deiveson Figueiredo versus Montel Jackson. Deiveson Figueiredo fought in May, and he blew his fucking knee out. Now we're in October. It's been a little while, but I don't like this turnaround. I think that he's kind of doing the same thing that Charles is doing, where he's turning around so quickly from back-to-back losses just to fight in Brazil. That's what I think is going on here, and I don't like that at all. Especially against Montel Jackson, who's very, very skilled, and he's very long for the division as well. Like, Deiveson's tiny, and he's now that he's at bantamweight, he's fighting these guys who are 5'10", like how tall is Montel Jackson? Montel Jackson's 5'10", and he has really long arms. You're not going to be able to get on the inside like you did at flyweight and land these bombs. It's just not going to happen. Montel Jackson, by the way, he's on a heater. He hasn't lost in 4 years. He's beaten guys who have been undefeated. He beat Daniel Marcos. He beat Damon Blackshear by nasty first round KO. I think Montel Jackson is really, really good, and I don't like this turnaround for Deiveson at all. And he's also getting a lot older. And that power that he had at flyweight, it held up because it was at flyweight, and no one really has power at flyweight, like I've said like 4 times in this video. That power, from what we've seen, it hasn't really translated up into bantamweight. So, and I do think his grappling is good. His grappling is, I think, at another level in terms of this matchup, at least. I do think that his grappling is better than Montel Jackson's, but I think that Montel Jackson sprawls well enough, and he is able to scramble out of positions very, very well, to the point where I'm not really worried. When he does get the back, which he does do very well, he does get the back against Montel Jackson. Montel's tall enough, he'll just shake him off the top. And Montel doesn't really get into situations like that where he's gonna be finished. From what I can tell, I don't think he has been finished, especially on the ground. So I think Montel Jackson wins this by comfortable decision. I think that he's able to sit on the back foot and just basically snipe and ping Deiveson at range the whole time. And when Deiveson does shoot to get takedowns and he does try to make it dirty on the inside, I don't think that Montel Jackson is ever in any worry of getting finished or getting taken down and getting mauled, especially from a size standpoint. I like Montel Jackson a lot here. So, and I hate the turnaround from Davison, having that brutal knee injury and then coming back this quick. I hate that. Main event time. Charles Oliveira taking on Mateusz Gamrot on short notice. Mateusz Gamrot coming in for Rafael Fiziev. I'm going to take Charles. I know I made a video recently about not wanting to take Charles against Fiziev because worst he's ever been KO'd, and, rule of thumb, if you are getting brutally KO'd, you probably shouldn't be sparring for like 8 months before you even get hit in the head again, let alone take another fight and have a whole training camp. But that was against Fiziev. I was a little bit more worried, not a little bit, a lot more worried about Fiziev's stand-up against Charles than I am Mateusz Gamrot. So from when they're on the feet, let's get into the technical side of things. Mateusz Gamrot does have nasty hands, and he does have a lot of forward pressure. You see it a lot when people talk about Mateusz Gamrot and his pressure. They talk about it with his grappling, because he does shoot a lot of takedowns. It's not the most fun thing to watch all the time, but he does pressure you a lot. And he also does that on the feet, which not a lot of people point to a lot of times. But the one worry in terms of his stand-up is he throws a lot of naked kicks. And a lot of times, and when you see guys throw these kind of naked kicks, you think to the low kicks, because that has kind of been the whole style around stand-up as of recently, is just take your opponent's leg out with naked low kicks, no setup, just throw it out there and take their leg out. But he does it with body kicks and high kicks sometimes, but mostly body kicks. And he'll be sitting in range with no setup, and he kind of just whips a body kick. That's actually how he got knocked down by Beneil Dariush, from what I remember. He was going, and he was just like standing in boxing range, and he just whips around a body kick and gets dropped by an overhand. He doesn't have the range really figured out all the way. That doesn't stop him from throwing these attacks that have no setup to him, and these attacks that leave him open for large counter shots. So on the feet, when you're fighting Charles Oliveira and you have all of those openings, Charles capitalizes on those openings quick. We saw it even against Ilya. When Ilya went to step off the center line and pop a right hand early, Charles was right there and he was ready for it, and he saw the opening and he landed an elbow. So it's those kind of instances where I don't think Gamrot's going to have a fun time on the feet. And Gamrot is more of an offensive grappler than Charles Oliveira is. So when Gamrot does shoot those takedowns, I can see Charles ripping a guillotine and subbing him early. Charles has one of the best guillotines I have ever seen, and Gamrot is the type to just shoot a takedown, shoot a takedown, shoot a takedown, shoot a takedown over and over and over and over and over, and get you tired and just out scramble you and win a decision, which happened against, he did it against Arman Tsarukyan, The danger in doing that against a guy like Charles is I think that he's so much better than all these other guys off their back, especially when you do just shoot a double leg or a single leg and he's waiting there for a guillotine or for just a reversal or a triangle. Charles does that better than most. A lot of times, and this is 5 rounds, so I am happy to see that for Charles, because I do worry sometimes. We saw it against Arman. Sometimes he will just accept bottom position because his guard game is so good, but then time gets away from him and he ends up losing a decision. But because this is 5 rounds, if Gamrot is holding top position for a round, for 2 rounds, it's not the end of the world, because Charles has such a good guard that he could sub you at any moment. I do think that Charles wins this. I do think it is going to be close, because I really do like Gamrot's grappling game. I think his grappling game is really, really sharper than most at lightweight. And I do like the fact that Gamrot is game to step in here on short notice. And again, Charles is coming off the worst loss of his whole career. He's never been flatline KO'd like that before, and he's stepping into a training camp right away. He gets knocked out. He's in a training camp 3 weeks later. He's sparring in a training camp. I hate that for Charles. So if he does get his bell rung, it's going to be worse than it was before. And you thought it was bad before? If he gets his bell rung again, it's going to go just as bad as it did against Ilya. So I hate that for Charles, but I do think that he is just on another level in terms of the ground game, and I do think that he gets a submission. I can see a guillotine. I can see him ripping that guillotine, standing, just pull guard and choke him out like that. Or what I more likely see is Gamrot spamming those takedowns so much, and then eventually Charles will get to a dominant position and get a submission. So I do have Charles Oliveira. I have him winning by late submission, and yeah, I trust Charles grappling more than I do Gamrot's, which is crazy to say because Gamrot's grappling is incredible, but. That is what I have, and that is the entire card. I tried to go more in depth a little bit with more of these fights. I've been kind of brushing past a lot of fights in the past, so I tried to give you a little bit more of a breakdown for each of them. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I appreciate you for watching. Like and subscribe, and yeah, I will see you in the next one. Peace.